What's up, boys and girls? I got a special stock, and this company is called Teradyne with the ticker symbol TER. It is basically an automated testing company. I can't stress how important this industry is, and I think it's an industry that's being overlooked right now. I think Teradyne is a good company, and Ark Invest will agree. The stock recently took a small dip, and for some reason Ark Invest just increased their positions on this company by roughly 700%. Rarely do you ever see Ark Invest buying a stock super heavily, and when they do, it is something definitely to take a note of because their fund is doing incredibly well. They are an active investors and it's an active fund. Long story short, they are buying more of Teradyne stock heavily. The history of Ark Invest and Teradyne is quite unique to say the least. Around September 2020, Ark Invest started selling off a ton of their shares of Teradyne. Their position in Teradyne plummeted all the way down to around 117,000 shares. It was a massive drop in position from owning 1.7 million shares down to 117,000 shares. But ever since then, they were buying just a little bit of Teradyne almost every single trading day. I guess they were holding the stock more cautiously, but then recently they just bought back their whole entire position. I think Ark Invest suddenly got an information that makes them super bullish on this stock again, so they suddenly just started buying it heavily. If you check out the overall buy dates, they've been buying this very heavily for both the Ark K ETF and the Ark Q ETF. But if you check out the other pages, like back in October, in September, there are some pretty massive sell-offs in the overall company. At one point, they actually sold off like over 1 million shares in a single day, but now they are purchasing it right back up, and that's a pretty rare thing to see. The question then becomes, what's Teradyne and what makes them unique? Essentially, Teradyne is a company that delivers manufacturing automated tools and machinery. They help other companies test semiconductors, test equipment and other products before actually releasing them to the public. This is very important because there's so much manufacturing going on in today's market. You got LiDAR, automation, 5G, and much more like chips and graphic cards. All these things need to be tested before you get them out to the consumers because it's quite dangerous and it would be bad if you have a bunch of defective products and you are shipping them out to the consumers. That will cost your company a lot of money and bad PR. So what do companies do? They get Teradyne, especially at the testing stage for a specific item if it's very dangerous. It's really easy just to simply use robotics. It's expensive and time consuming to hire thousands of employees to test different products to make sure there's no defects, especially if you could easily just hire a bunch of robots. And guess who makes a bunch of these different robotic testing products? Well, you guessed that right, it's Teradyne. They have several different products to cater to different industries. Teradyne has products for the AI industry, semiconductor, industrial. They have products for storage, wireless testing, memory testing, power and automotive testing, industrial, automation, you name it. Whatever you need to be tested, they got it. The share price of Teradyne recently has been doing really well during the pandemic. It did drop all the way down to roughly $46 a share back in March when the overall stock market dropped due to the pandemic. But now it went to a peak of $143. There was a recent drop in the stock, and we all know what Ark Invest does. When they see a good company with a massive drop in price, but not much of the fundamentals has changed, they usually buy them, hoping that they could hold on to the positions until the stock goes back up. So basically, Ark Invest essentially bought it around $120 to the $130 mark, which is super smart right now. And the price of Teradyne is $125 as of the making of this video, which is pretty big drop from $143. I think because this industry is growing at such a rapid pace, they will succeed and go to all-time highs. Towards the end of this video, we will talk about the market size for automated testing, and it should definitely blow you away. And currently, the institutional buying and selling is not a big concern. There's still a lot of hedge funds selling some of the shares, and there are also a lot of hedge funds buying the shares. I'll say it's about 50% right now, both bearish and bullish when it comes to institutional investors. And to be quite honest, it's quite a unique thing to see Ark Invest buying the stock so heavily. Teradyne at this current moment is supplying open architecture and also virtual instrumentation to the Air Force. They actually got a $78 million contract with the US Air Force, and that is a lot of money to be made. What's even better is there is a testing device for automobiles. And since we do have the global semiconductor market going for $40 billion and is growing massively over the next decade, as such, companies want to make sure that their semiconductor chips do not have any defects. So companies need to do testing on their products before releasing them to the public. So who do they go to do their robotics and automated testing to make things easier? They go to Teradyne. Teradyne is also heavily involved in 5G devices, also testing 5G devices. You can kind of say Teradyne is like a stamp of approval type of company. They test your products, make sure it's okay before you release it out to the public. And the revenues have been increasing. You can clearly see in the most recent few quarters, it was like a 36% increase, which is about 15.9% increase year over year. Things are looking really well for Teradyne. What's even better is the global automation testing market is growing. It is expected to be growing around $12 billion in 2019 all the way to $28 billion in 2024. That's a massive piece of growth right there. This is an industry that the majority of people are not looking into. It is the global automation testing market. I think most people are just so focused on EVs, drones, cannabis, and the likes that as such they overlook how good of a market this automation testing is. These are some phenomenal growth, I would say. I mean, just 2 years ago, the automation market was $12 billion, and it is expected to go to $28 billion by 2024. And by the way, it gets better because it's going to be reaching $68 billion by 2025. So between 2024 is going to be $28 billion, and then it's going to jump to $68 billion within a year. That's some phenomenal growth if you ask me. In fact, this is one of the fastest growing industries, and this is also one of the most slept on industries. And especially a lot of things are becoming more robotics, more autonomous. I feel like Teradyne is a company that people are just sleeping on. Ark Invest knows this. This is why they just essentially purchased back all of the shares that they recently sold off. Like back in 2020, they went from 1.7 million all the way down to a low of 117,000 shares. And then they went from 117,000 shares all the way back up to 1.7 million shares, back to where they were originally. So I think they are feeling pretty bullish on the company. It's a market that's rapidly growing, and with so many people trying to get these contracts, Teradyne is already super profitable. They are making money, double-digit percentage growth year over year. That's something you don't see in most companies. And keep in mind that Ark Invest, they don't buy random stuff. They know that this is a good company. That's why they are purchasing. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Comment down below your questions or thoughts on Teradyne. And don't forget to hit the like button to let YouTube know that the video isn't bad. And also subscribe for more videos like these. Until next time, stop waiting, start doing. Peace out.